I don't know why that won't move for me, guys. I really hate that. Or maybe I can adjust the camera just a bit. How about that? Yeah, trying to take it slow. You better, because I tell you, this time is moving so fast. Time is moving so fast. We're already January 6th. We are already January 6th. Thank you so much for liking the live, Fifth Alina. Y'all, I'm going to take a second. Yes, I am. I am. Not sure how soon I'll be able to get back, but yeah, I just came home to kind of handle some business and take care of the Dawn. That's what we call my mom. We call her the Dawn. Help take care of her. Y'all do me a real quick favor and share out the live. I'm going to take a second and share it out. A whole visa term. So I usually do 6 months at a time. Thank you so much for sharing the live, Lena. Yep, a whole 6 months at a time. So it's all good though. It's all good. Everything is already all right, and it's all good, and everything is working out for the good of all involved. I appreciate the concerns though. I really do, y'all. I thank you so much for the love. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. I thought I would try something new this year. We're still going to be moving, gently, still healing, still, just moving a little bit more honestly this year. We've done a lot of healing together, y'all. Good morning, Lily. Thanks for the rose, Fifth. We've done a lot of healing together, y'all. Over the morning. We've done a lot of healing together, y'all. Over the mornings, just watching the sun rise. Even had some impromptu lives here and there. We did a lot of things together. Yes, we have, Lena. And now I want to talk about what's showing up, or what should show up, or what might show up after all the listening. Now we're in the doing. Because that's what's next. Once we get a plan together, we have to execute. Otherwise, we won't be able to see our healing come to fruition. We'll just be stuck in a perpetual cycle if we don't ever move. But sometimes when we move forward and we move toward what I like to call the edge. Hey, Bev. Good morning. Good morning. So we're moving toward this space called the edge. And it's like right there where you need to make a decision, where it's like things aren't bad, things are good, but they aren't all that bad either. And so this is going to be a series. And today's topic, the first part in this series, is going to be about desire. And y'all, when we talk about this stuff, just take what resonates and what doesn't, just let it go. Because a lot of these things, I'm telling you, y'all, these just come from my mind, things that I'm thinking about, having these these existential crises, and just thinking about life and just living life and knowing that I'm not the only one in the world that has all these crazy thoughts. And it made I just say crazy just to use a colloquialism, but um just to say, just to having these thoughts in our minds, right? JC, you all right? Yeah, so the desire for something or someone or situation or thing usually doesn't show up when everything is falling apart. Am I right? Because that's the last thing that we're thinking about is something that we want. When stuff's falling apart, that's the last thing we think about is something that we want. But desire shows up when things are fine. And yet, something inside of you is leaning forward. Everything is good. You finally got to a place on the job where everything is all right. You feel safe, you feel secure. But yet, there's something that's knocking on the door. That's desire. That's the edge. That is the edge. If you could just imagine yourself doing all this healing, just going along a flat plane, and then all of a sudden there's kind of like an entrance into something else. You're right on the edge of it because there is something that's calling you forward. Desire appears where your life stops fitting in, where all of a sudden things just don't fit quite right anymore. It might feel like your physical space your walls are closing in on you. That's your desire to have more space. You might feel like your life has taken a turn. Now you're living in the fast lane. You have so much social stuff going on. You have so much professional stuff going on. Now everything is going so fast. You might desire a slower life. You have that book inside of you. You have that business inside of you, but you just can't seem to get it together. That's being right there on the edge side of you, but you just can't seem to get it together. That's being right there on the edge. That's you wanting something bigger. You ever have that feeling where you feel like you know something? You don't, I'm sorry, you don't know what it is yet, but you want something. You want something different. You want something bigger, better, faster, stronger. But you just don't know what it is. That's desire. And sometimes it shows up as pressure. But that pressure isn't dissatisfaction, it's expansion. The things that keep pulling at you quietly, or in some cases loudly. Because I know when things pull at me, they kind of pull loudly. They don't pussyfoot around. They yell and scream and they jump up about when I have these things. It's usually pointing out to something really, really important. Good morning, Lydia. Welcome in to Imagining Life. We are talking about being on the edge of making decisions, on the edge of change. You may all of a sudden find yourself wanting to travel, to see different things. And travel doesn't always mean abroad. It can just mean, to a different state. Do y'all understand that there are some people who have never been off their block? So could you imagine that if they got that desire for expansion, what that might look like for them? And that can be applied into anything, into your space, into your wanting to be visible. You may decide that you're going to start, going live on TikTok. You're going to start, sharing more things on your TikTok channel. Thank you for the words, Tracy. Good morning, MJ. If it keeps returning and it keeps nagging at you, it's trying to tell you something. So this year, y'all, we need to do some listening to that inner voice as we stand here on the edge, on the precipice of something great, because that's what our lives are. Hey, Allie. We need to pay close attention to it. Thank you for the TikToks, Bev. Hey, Ellen, welcome in. If it keeps returning, if it keeps nagging at you, it's important. It's trying to tell you something. Try not to ignore it. Because most of the times, for a lot of us, desire doesn't come with chaos or drama. It comes with restlessness. You're starting to get bored. Or there's just this little soft nagging, longing for something. The edge of your life is often quiet and really, really easy to ignore. That's why we have to pay really close attention to it. Because we don't want to ignore it. Because, we learned during our healing that when we don't acknowledge the things that we want, the things that we desire, the things that we need, they sit in our chest and they fester. Oh, JC, thank you for the gifts. They sit in our chest and they fester. And that's not what we want. So, fester. And that's not what we want. So I want you to think about this. Usually shows up where there's something that we've outgrown. I like to use the example of the closet, right? With the closet full of clothes and shoes. But yet you want something new. You want something different. So you got to start making some space, right? But that desire comes and it forces you to say, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to make more space by getting rid of some things, or am I just going to go and get a bigger space? What makes more sense? It makes better sense to make more space. So as we're living out here on the edge, this is where we're starting to shed some things. This is where we're saying, okay, I'm about to step over into this next phase. So some things can go and some things can't go. You feel me? Some stuff can go and some things can't go. because a lot of that stuff we have outgrown. Desire for freedom could start to look like things, just constraints being put on you everywhere you look. There's more rules at work. There's different things you got to get tightened up at home. Your current structure just feels so tight. That's your desire for freedom. Life just seems to be too rigid. Remember, we talked about playing at one time. How come adults don't play anymore? Starting to feel, like you want to have some fun. You want to let loose a little bit. That's your desire for creativity. How many of you can actually say that you practice some sort of creativity most days of your life? And that could be whatever it is that you do to express creativity. Some people like to do art. Some people, whatever it is you do. Do you actually do it? JC says almost every day for him, I love being creative. I do too. I love to create something. Because creativity is expression, and expression is release. And release means a regulated nervous system. That's something we all need. I know right now, with everything that's going on in the world. You've been operating in survival mode for way too long. That's your desire for rest. We bring the images of our mind to life. Yep, that's what creativity is. And that's exactly how I visualize it. Whatever it is in my mind, I need to get it out. Sometimes I need to get it out on paper. Sometimes I need to draw it. Sometimes I need to color it. Sometimes I need to paint it. But it's just something in my mind that I have to get out. And I think that's the struggle with being a creative. It's hard to have that outlet sometimes, because sometimes I want to delve in a medium that I don't have readily have access to. I like to pour resin, and I just don't have access to that here. So it's a little bit difficult. But anyway, y'all get what I'm saying. You get this bug inside of you where you feel like you want to create. And my biggest thing is, that desire want to create. And my biggest thing is, that desire for rest. When you operate for way too long, when people are pulling at you left and right, and you just have to have this thing where you want to rest. Now that the holidays are over, people are really going to start to take a deep breath and rest, because we are now in a new year and we have a whole nother thing ahead of us to try to get done. We got to get through this next year, but we're going to live and we're going to enjoy and we're going to savor as much joy out of it as we possibly can. Don't hear me saying that we're just going to just let it fly by. Let this be the year that you really, truly enjoy life. Let this be the year that you really, truly dream big, live bold, and imagine the life you want to live. Because that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. But now wanting more brings up what? Does that mean you hate what you have? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You can love your life and still be called for something else. You absolutely can. You can have everything and still want more. Gratitude and desire can occupy the same space at the same time. Contentment does not cancel curiosity. And that's another thing, y'all. We got to learn to be more curious. Why are we not curious as adults? I think sometimes we lose our curiosity. A lot of the stresses in life, I guess, make it so that we don't have the ability to dream. I don't know. But don't think that desire is betrayal. It's not. Desire, just like emotions, is information. This is really important for you to understand that desire doesn't require a plan. It's just information for you to use. So you, like we talked about earlier, when you start to feel a certain way, then you find that you're desiring a certain thing. You're desiring more rest because, like I said, the world is pulling at you. You're feeling like everything is all, just everything is so tight around you. Good morning, Keisha. Everything is so tight around you. That's your desire for freedom. Thank you for the rose. And thank you for grabbing your daily heartbeat. I appreciate it. A friend of mine posted, she's a flight attendant. Mm-hmm. And see, she's dreaming big. She's, and that's a way for her to see the world. She felt that desire to do something, and she pursued that. Her dream came true. She made her dream come true. She made her dream come true. Because she felt that. She's been in corporate, so she's probably was, maybe she had a decent job or whatever, but she still wanted more. And that was to be a flight attendant. So she's living her dream, living the dream. And the most important thing is you don't need to know how, you don't need to have a timeline, and you don't need permission. Data doesn't demand motion right away. Data doesn't demand motion right away. It just wants you to notice it. Helen says, I need to stop worrying about everything. It's hard. But one thing I can tell you about worrying, it doesn't fix anything. You're just torturing yourself twice because you're worrying about something that may or may not happen. That's what I have to tell myself. This may or may not be happening. Or is this actually happening? Or is this something that I'm making up in my mind? Yeah, Lily, that's cool to be proud of her. There's something to be proud of. When you get information, all you have to do is notice the information. And see, like Ellen, that's information that you just gathered. You just gathered that you feel like you worry too much. So now that you have that information, you can do something with it. But here's the thing, y'all, and this is something that we'll go into on Wednesday's topic too. Desire's not asking you to jump right in. When you're standing right there at that edge, doesn't mean that you have to leap right over into that next thing. You just can acknowledge where you are. This season isn't about blowing things up. It's not about making these huge, big, drastic changes. It's about being honest about where your edges are. You just have to be aware of the data that you're getting from your feelings, from your emotions, and from your desires. And even if you don't give in to your desires, even if you don't acknowledge, that's still a decision. Ignoring desire is still a decision. When we ignore our desires long enough, we don't become more responsible. We become more disconnected. And disconnection from our desires breeds contentment. Hey, what's up? Yes, being honest about where your edges are. A lot of us, you don't really lose yourself. You just stop listening. I used to always say that, it was a point in time in my life where I lost myself, but I don't think I really lost myself. I just got to a point where I stopped listening to me. So now I'm sure I listen to myself now. I trust myself again because I'm actually listening to me. So what happens when we ignore the edge? What happens? We start to become numb. And that numbness is usually a sign that desire has been waiting for way too long. What's up says we fall off the edge. Yeah, we fall off instead of intentionally putting ourselves somewhere. Right? We fall off over into this thing that we're not even prepared for. Because, see, that's what a lot of our edges are. Preparation for the next thing. It'll make you numb. And it's like I said, numbness is usually a sign that desire has been waiting way too long. Because you bury those desires down so far, so been waiting way too long. Because you bury those desires down so far, so deep. Till you become numb to it. But this season is about curiosity and not pressure. Y'all, I've been yapping so much haven't even been drinking my coffee. Everybody got their morning beverage this morning? trauma, and we are just now learning to hear our own voice. Yep, that's the truth. And being able to acknowledge that, that's the real win right there. We all didn't start at the same place. Some of us had, childhoods where everything was quite all right. Some of us had traumatic childhoods. And we just didn't have the ability to listen to ourselves. We're just now learning. Never knew who I was, but I'm having a great time. I know that's right. She said, your yapping is our lessons. Girl, I'm just sharing what's going on, what's in my heart. So think about this. So ask yourself, what am I wanting lately that I keep explaining away? What am I wanting lately that I keep explaining away? Are you in touch with what your desires are? Are you desiring space, freedom? What are you desiring? Think about that. Is there something that's really, really coming at you? Came from a military family, always felt different from others, always moving. Yeah, I can feel you on that. My words for this year are ease and flow, and I'll be focusing on creativity. That's what's up. What's up? Yeah, we can't forget about our soft life. We can't forget about our ease. Where's your edge? What feels like it's outgrowing a container? Is there any part of your life that feels like the container's too tight? Is there some place that you may feel like you can be a little bit more fluid in your life? That's your desire calling. That's your edge. Okay, Blue, long time no see. How are you? Is your desire asking you to add something or release something? You know it can go both ways. All I want you to think about is what keeps coming back to you. I am well. I am well. Glad to see you. Winter always makes me feel tight. Can't get out to walk some. Yeah, you know I feel you on that, Ellen. Absolutely. Seasons can feel that way too. I never thought about it that way, but they absolutely can. Yeah, winter does feel tight. It absolutely does. Auntie. I don't know if you're talking about Mama. Mama's making it. Thank you so much for asking. So y'all don't forget, recognize your edge. Know where your edge is. And Wednesday, we're going to talk about what to do when you get to that edge. But now, so that we can keep this thought in our mind that we have desires and we need to pay attention to our desires and we need to acknowledge our desires. Let's bring it on home. Um, let's try to solidify it in our mind today with some affirmations. Hearts in the chats if you'd like to hear some affirmations from me today. I'm going to try a yoga class today so I can get that. Oh, now that's awesome. That's great. Yes, yes, yes. We got some affirmations to hold these thoughts tight for us today. I'm in the north. I think it feels snuggly. Oh, winter. Yeah, but modern life. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the hearts, Bev. The first affirmation is I honor the edges of my life without fear. Honor the edges. Extract the data. Use the data. I allow myself to notice what no longer fits. Just acknowledge it. That's all you have to do in the beginning is just acknowledge it. Desire is a sign of growth, not ingratitude. Remember, gratefulness and desire can occupy the same space at the same time. They can coexist. Just because you want more doesn't mean that you're not appreciative of what you already have. But have you ever been in a situation, I'm sorry to pull away from the affirmations, y'all, but I have to, I go off on these tangents. I remember there was a time in my life when I felt like if I just didn't want so much, my life would be a lot simpler. Has anybody ever felt that way? If you have ever felt like, God, if I just didn't want anything, everybody would be happy and I would be okay. Man, I used to think that. But then I learned that desire and gratitude could occupy the same space at the same time. I could be absolutely happy with everything I had and still want more. But I digress. So don't think that you have to have either or. You can have everything you want plus more. Lay down. Okay, I'm back on the affirmations. I trust myself to stand at the edge without rushing. I trust myself to stand at the edge without rushing. That's what I want us to stick with today. I trust myself to stand at the edge without rushing. And the last affirmation is I give myself permission to want what comes next. I give myself permission to want what comes next. If any of these affirmations hit home for you, tap the screen for me. And don't forget that I'll post these on my page so that you can. And don't forget that I'll post these on my page so that you can go back to them, screenshot them, use them as your screensaver, whatever you need to do. Keep these affirmations in your mind and in your heart. And y'all, I want you to make sure that you tune in to part 2 of this series. Not next week, on Wednesday. Oh, you are so very welcome, Ellen. You are so very welcome. You are so very welcome. So just know that if you're standing right there on the edge, you're not behind, nothing's wrong, everything's all right. And on the next one, we'll talk about what it means to stand at the edge without rushing yourself forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for liking the live. You know, you figure you might just be growing if you listen to them, get that information. Oh, you are so very welcome. You are so very welcome, Donut Bay. Yeah, I love the birds. I had different birds in Mexico, but you know, I know some people have been waiting for the porch again. But y'all, we back. We back on the porch for now. JC, I'm being a real big girl. I'm being out here. I bundled myself up, so I'm not complaining about the cold. But I thank y'all so much for joining me today. Back on the farm. Yes, Allie. Had to come and take care of Mama. Thank you, thank you, thank you, JC. Thank you for being proud of me. Well, y'all, with that, not really, Allie. What's the fate if you don't mind answering? Oh, what's up? I'm in Alabama. Oh, you're snowing in Wisconsin. Ooh, that's my friend JC. He loves the snow. Thank you so much, Allie. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so much, Bev. I really appreciate it and need it. Yes, happy Monday, everybody. And I will see you guys on a Wednesday, 6:30 a.m. Central Time. If you're not following, make sure that you follow. So and turn your notifications on so you get notified when I go live, so you don't miss the next installment in this series. Wednesday we're gonna talk about what to do when we're standing on that edge. What to do now that we recognize our edges. You are so very welcome, JC. Thank you. You guys don't forget to dream big. Dream so big it scares you. Live bold till people think you're crazy for you. You guys don't forget to dream big. Dream so big it scares you. Live bold till people think you're crazy for living the life that you want to live, and imagine that you want to live. Take care. I'll see y'all on Wednesday. Lily, you're welcome. Thank you.